This podcast is also available via stagelink.com, the groundbreaking new platform for live performing arts. I'm your host, Shanae Stiletto, and my guest on today's Circuspreneur podcast is actress and puppeteer Caroline Bernier-Dionne. Welcome to the Circuspreneur podcast, Caroline. I'm so happy to meet you.
Hey, same for my side. I'm happy to meet you so much.
Thank you. You're so fantastic. You're such a wonderful personality, which we are going to get into because I really enjoy listening to your podcast. And you have so much beautiful, beautiful energy, Caroline. So thank you so much for taking out the time in your really busy schedule to come onto the podcast. And I want to tell listeners a little bit about you. Caroline Bernier-Dionne is a multidisciplinary artist born in Gaspésie, Quebec, Canada. Always excuse my accent. She studied at the École du Théâtre of the St. Hyacinthe College, graduating in 2007. Since then, Caroline has worked in the giant puppetry-filled 4th Street performances, theaters, corporate events, and festivals across North America. Caroline had the opportunity to work with Cirque du Soleil in 2018, where she combined her skills as a puppeteer and figure skater for their new touring ice show called Axel. She was also selected to perform the role of Scooby-Doo by performing with the giant puppet for the film version of the musical Scooby-Doo and the Legend of Eldorado by Warner Brothers and MonLove. She regularly embodies various characters from street performances during festivals in Quebec and Ontario, such as Just for Laughs in Montreal, where she captivates audiences with her unique talent and charisma. Whether performing on stilts, roller skates, or ice skates, Caroline always manages to capture the audience's attention by creating memorable experiences. Caroline recently joined in April 2024 the cast of the Cirque du Soleil show called Drawn to Life in collaboration with Disney in Orlando, Florida. She had the opportunity to be selected to play one of the main characters of the show as a giant puppeteer. She also coaches other performers from the show to better their puppetry skills, as she is the official puppetry coach for the whole crew. In addition to her career as an actress puppeteer, you can see Caroline on TV in several commercials in Quebec, Canada. Her most recent one for Metro Supermarkets even allowed her to share the screen with her 1-year-old daughter, Athena. Ooh. Caroline is a multidisciplinary artist who succeeded in making a name for herself in the world of entertainment and performing arts through her exceptional talent and hard work. She continues to inspire many young artists aspiring to break into the entertainment industry year after year. She is also the host of the Puppet podcast and author of the artist self-help book, Living Free from Your Art, which is practical business advice to help artists get the work they want. Least but not last, Caroline is also a mother and a wife who travels with her lovely little girl, Athena, who is an aspiring circus artist as well, and with her husband, Eli, who is a business coach for artists. Wow. What a bio, what a career, what a unique career, I think, like that you have, Caroline, and like how you have so much background. You have a rich history in sports, which I really, really love, being a figure skater, which is fantastic. I just love how you can do a little bit of everything, but you are still very much a specialist because sometimes people become generalists, which I think is phenomenal and fantastic. Obviously, it can get you a lot of work, but it's also unique when you're a specialist in so many things and also in even more niche environments, kind of like puppetry. I mean, can you go into a bit about your journey? Obviously, we've learned from your bio, but hearing from you your own perspective of how you came to be this very well-rounded puppeteer, I think a niche art form that we don't hear about enough, which is why I love that you started the Puppet podcast, because listening to it and learning more about that world, even though I've worked with puppeteers for many, many years, it's so interesting to hear from their perspectives all the nuances of the industry that they have to work through and like how you become a success in this way. And I think it's also gaining a lot of momentum too in a lot of different environments. I think that's proven with your work in Cirque du Soleil and obviously in all the different environments that you've like kind of carved out a career for yourself.
Yeah, I think I'll start by dream about what you want to do in life and wish and put your intention towards it. First, I didn't know I will become a puppeteer. I was just loving theater, doing figure skating, and I think from the teenage time you just build yourself. I always say that some people, like your passion as a teenagers, like art passion, sport passion, could follow you on your adulthood also. So for me, I just always say you can keep them all. And I think at some point people was thinking, oh, you're a bit crazy. It's too niche. It's so random, figure skating and theater, how that will mix at some point, how this, like, so I got and I accept to be a bit like strange, out of the box all the way. So I think this is so key for me to accept that I'm out of the box. And if everyone as an artist listen that, accept that you are out of the box from the beginning, and just embrace it, and keep going and build your talent one over the other. And at some point, someone will find you for what you are, what is unique in what you propose. So yeah, I think that's why Cirque is in my life now.
What was like the moment where you decided to transition from kind of the figure skating sport world into taking it into the theatrical performance world? I love to speak about that on the Circuspreneur podcast because I came from that world. I was a competitive acrobat, and then I transitioned into the circus, and I didn't go there through circus school. I just got scouted from Cirque from when I was very young. They were coming to competitions, which is a lot of the things that they do now. And I was around that environment a lot. So it kind of like was already available, even though I still had to do a lot of work. I'm not saying it was like super simple, but there was kind of like a pathway. But this is becoming more and more popular with those coming from a lot of disciplines from sport, and then now transitioning into the circus, like in a way that they never did before, whether it's through like commercial work or theatrical or being in like a circus or circus show. So was there like a mentor or someone that encouraged you to be able to do that? Or did you just get kind of like the idea yourself and kind of searching for it? Because I was a very like self-started like kid. I was like, okay, I see that. I love that. And I really want to do it. And I want to make sure that everyone helps me and
Yeah.
figures out a way to help me to do that. So how did you go from there to there?
I think you hook on person, like you see someone and you admire this person, so it's kind of like it's relevant in your life. You get inspired by those. So I remember a theater teacher, someone really like sensible, really different than what was in my environment. And I'm from actually a little town in Gaspésie, as you said in the bio. So we were like 15,000 people. So just to define myself as an artist was a bit like strange, but at the same time, people were really encouraging me all the time. Okay, keep going. You have your dream. My family was always encouraging me. But I went to a theater school, a proper professional theater school. But I think in the path at some point, I just decide with the figure skating that theater will be my next like kind of challenge, and to get like the formal paper that I'm a professional comedian, a professional actress, will help me to open other doors. So I think it's really a strategy also as an artist. You need to find like your way, but you never know what will be the door. And after the theater school, I get recruited by a theater company specialized in giant puppet. So as I always say, I got spelled by the puppet. I didn't know I will get like this love, this like understanding, this philosophical thing that puppetry brings you, because puppetry is behind us since our childhood, in many movies, in many like it's part of the childhood, I feel. But at the same time, when you realize that this art form could really unify people, help people to understand like who they are, their connection, let's say, even the relation with their body. To be a puppeteer makes that kind of awareness for me, but for others, I feel it's helping others to understand, oh, the breathing, you make an object breathe, but how you breathe actually. So it's really an art form that could expand and open eyes of an artist, but also the audience who watching it.
When was your first engagement with a puppet, with puppeteering? When did that happen and what was that like for you? And then was that again your like idea of, okay, now I can maybe continue this and build a career out of this? And then I would love to go into how you strategize around career building because I think that is so brilliant. I have done several series about that myself through Think Like an Acrobat podcast. I think the business of the performing arts and the business of circuiting or circusing or puppeteering is fascinating. And I'm so glad that artists like you and circus workers like yourself, Caroline, are demystifying and opening up that veil to teach artists and to teach circus workers how to amplify your brand, how to amplify that niche market and use that and propel yourself into different spaces to generate income, to generate a real life, to generate an income that sustains you. So I know that was kind of a loaded question, which we will pivot on that. But what was that first puppet? When did that happen?
Yeah, the spark. I always recall this moment. I was like ending theater school, a bit like what I'm gonna do. You know, after a professional school in art, you feel a bit like, because you compare so much yourself between those years with others with different purpose, like art career, but also art actress career could be a lot of things. You can do commercial, you can do TV, you can do like text work, like it's really big. So I always say I was a bit confused about, okay, I will go maybe more improv. I'm good in improv, I'm good in like spontaneous hosting things and everything. But I was working at this theater, Théâtre de la Dame de Coeur, and I remember to see the children. We were doing a workshop with them, and they were like three manipulating a giant puppets, like together on Wonderful World, the Louis Armstrong, from Louis Armstrong. So I was like, oh my God, like this art form could really uplift the world. So for me, I'm always I always have been kind of a life-changing person. I always say, oh, I want to change the world, or it's a bit, sometimes people say, okay, calm down, Caroline. But I have this in me. It's kind of part of my DNA. But yeah, so I really look at this art form. And after that, I worked with other company and other like puppet theater. And as the niche thing, because your question has two sides, and the business aspect is for me also my husband who actually write that book, because you say it's my book, but it's mainly his book, because it was part of our project, the Puppet Podcast. And he write our kind of research, because it was kind of a big research about how Puppeteer was making a living, how to also some tools to help others to promote themselves, to get job, to just do the hard work of business people and art business. Art is a business also. So I will always said, as a puppeteer, I'm a business. I'm an artist and I'm a business, and a company will recruit or do affiliate corporative things with me as a business. So it's really a mindset at the same time. And for sure, what helps is like self-improvement things, everything you can do to just get you connected with uplifting people, uplifting knowledge, and just keep like yourself busy with the work of like calling, be in touch, be there, be out there and communicating with your audience, but also your client, your friends, because your friends give you job in the art business. So it's really to be connected as the key thing, I think, in this.
Oh, it's great. Yeah, because it's so much about who you know and how you know them. I heard really amazing advice years and years ago, and this was kind of like a spiritual advice for people that were trying to be entrepreneurs. And they were like, it's not necessarily about your amazing resume, which is very, very, very important. I don't discredit that. But they were like, it's also about, do people like you? Do people want to work with you? Did they enjoy being with you in that particular job and in that particular role? Now, I'm not also teaching this whole philosophy of like, you have to be super likable to get roles and to get jobs. But also, too, if you're coming to these spaces and you don't find a way, I think, to have a mature character, which is professional, and you understand how to work the environment, and you're also interested in other people, and I think kind of compassionate and understanding around the environment that you're in, why would people want to continuously working with you? I think it's about talent only taking you so far. And so do you feel, even Caroline, for yourself, because I'd love to also transition into how you went from freelancing to working in a corporatized setting with Cirque du Soleil, because I always call Cirque the corporatized version of circus, which I think is a very good thing. I mean, you get all these benefits, you get all these rights, you get to work with a good team that has to go and work in this environment that's under control, right? I mean, a lot of other circus environments can be really out there, where like they're just kind of like writing the curriculum as they go, they're deciding how you do your job moment to moment. But when you're working with Cirque du Soleil, with such a big company, you also too have to make sure, remind yourself that you're like not a number, right? That you're still a human, that you have your own individual character. You also don't know how long your contract is going to last. So you kind of have to harness it, which you have harnessed it incredibly. You have so many followers on social media. You have an amazing following. And I looked at you and I saw this is a smart circus worker, puppeteer artist who got into an environment and situation as well and really harnessed the potential of being there. I think sometimes artists can maybe lose that important moment that they have in these environments, and they don't harness them while they're in them, because sometimes it's like, this is never going to end. It's always going to be here. I'm always going to be taken care of. But we know, again, the business is not really like that. For better or for worse, you can stay somewhere for 10 years. You can be somewhere for a year thinking that you would be there for 5. So, I would love to pick your brain a bit about how that transition happened for you, Caroline. Were you strategic about your time going from being more of a freelance artist in that way to going into Cirque du Soleil?
Yeah, I feel for me, it's, as you said, it's also strategic. It's also, I feel, to be in Cirque du Soleil, it's such a lovely environment because everything is taken care of. So you do your job and you just have to be what you are, and you can be who you are. And I really appreciate that. I feel I can also, like, you have stability. Like, to be a freelancer is really, it's really cool, and it's a lot of like moving part and a lot of things going around. So I feel for me the balance is really, really key, to have like some, okay, like you have this resident show that you do, and I have my life and the show, and it's not, I don't search for contract, or but I still creating my art business, still going. I have some shows that I have someone who play or perform for me, like in few hours today. So it's really great to be really surrounded and be able also to keep the business going and keep your creation going out there in another environment. So it's funny because here my environment is all in English, but in Canada I perform in French, and this art form still going in French over there. So I really appreciate to combine. And in the past, when I start with Axel, I actually was also during the creative part doing a bit of my work. My street performance was going on at the same time. So I feel it's really important to be balanced. And yeah, I really like to be in also an environment really where you have a team, you have people who can help you with what you want. And yeah, and everything have their challenges. To work in group is challenges. To be a solo performer artist have challenges also. So it's just different. And yeah, what I could say, as you said, also to if people like to work with you, if people enjoy your energy, I think is so key. And as you said, it's not to be likely, or it's just to be you, to be, and to work on yourself and keep work on yourself, clean yourself, clean your soul, just be like you, and finding you on the way. I think it's never an ending story. It's really work on you as an artist is part of the job, and you just have to embrace that you will have to work on yourself and your talent and your skills all your life.
All your life. You never get to stop. I think
No.
that's a really great lesson with being an artist, with being a person. You never ever get to stop working on yourself. You never stop changing. And how do you feel, Caroline, that you've been evolving in your new role, being in Drawn to Life? How has that pulled new things out of you as a puppeteer and as an artist, as an actress, with this particular role, and also being like a coach and a trainer there too, where you're responsible for the other artists learning and growing their craft too? Is that hard? hard? Is it overwhelming? Are you using different, parts of your brain, your different parts of your creativity? It must be a really interesting thing for you. Again, you're someone who has really expanded for so many years. So I assume that it's maybe not super overwhelming, but has it taken you a little bit to kind of get your footing, especially being a mom and juggling that as well, but also to having that stability on Axel for Cirque du Soleil, you were on tour. So I understand, that's a very different animal in terms of touring and going from city to city every single week, but then also now being based in Orlando and having that stability that you were talking about, which sometimes is so nice to have that.
Yeah, yeah, and for family is nice too to have a baby
Yeah.
and to have the stability. I feel for us as a family is really key. And for sure, I
Oh,
have challenges of coaching other people because what I enjoy in life actually is to also make people understand puppetry, as I've done this podcast for all those years. So now I have to help acrobat to embrace puppetry and see, to see the potential of it and to see that as it's something really, really fun to do because it's a team activity. Puppetry don't happen by itself. It's really a combination of the art form as the light, the sound, the music, the movement, and all of that have to just be all together. So I really like this challenge, and I can like it's always every day is something new, and I feel it's even more challenging because it's just not to come to perform. You have a bigger responsibility and you have to watch others and encourage them and thumbs up all the plus point that they do and just like, oh, maybe this can be improved but find a good way of bringing it because that's love and that's art because you need to this is something we do with love and passion, so you don't want to put the bad energy in the backstage and all of that. So I'm really looking forward to be a good coach and keep improving myself and the way of bringing the notes and the improvement and encourage my crew here.
oh, you're so encouraging. I'm so inspired. You're so wonderful. You must just be so lovely to work with every day. You're very conscious about how you make your way through the world and being in the art. Sometimes I think that artists or circus workers or, entrepreneurs can see kind of like each experience is kind of like, okay, like I am just going to kind of get through this, or it's like not that serious, or, but I love that you're making a positive, intentional focus on showing up every single day, which is also not easy to do. These jobs are very challenging and taxing, and you have to give a lot of energy every single day. The audience is there. People have paid to see a show every single day. And each time they're there, it's their first time engaging with you, so they don't know. They don't know that you're tired, that, you were mommy, that, you were the wife, that you're coordinating another show, in French somewhere else, that somebody's working for you, that you're this entire movement of a business, of a network, of an industry as one person. And so dialing down and giving each person what they need every single time for the circus audiences, the circus fans, is a really big deal. And I love how conscious you are about that. I think that's a really great lesson of like not just phoning it in, or, not taking our experiences on stage for granted, or not taking each person for granted, because you can get into a routine every day when you're doing a show. Sometimes I've met people, that's why they love to be freelance, because they love to feel spiked or inspired by new people, new experiences beyond just doing the same show every day. But I think a same show every day is still a new universe every day. If anyone's ever done it day in and day out, it does not matter. It is not the same show every single day. You could do it like 5 times a day. It does not matter. You're a completely new, different person. But I would also love to, Caroline, we're in the last like probably few minutes of the podcast. I would love to get into your podcast, your puppet podcast. You're a fantastic host. You go live with your podcast, which is not easy to do. And you've introduced like the world to so many puppeteers into this environment that, again, I think is still very unique. I mean, there's so much behind the scenes that most individuals even in the performing arts world, wouldn't necessarily know. I think that you very humanized puppeteers, which I really love that. I'd love to do that with this podcast as well, in making circus workers and performing artists, very human to the audiences, and to understand like everything that goes into your life, that you're a personality, that you have all the same similar challenges and then some, because you're just kind of creating something from nothing. So I would love to hear more about your puppet podcast and how you do it. What was your intention behind it? Why you still continue to do it, and what you love about it, because you put so much love into everything that you do, which is so obvious.
Yay. Thank you. Thank you for all your good flow of love and admiration. I really appreciate it. I would say this adventure start in tour. It's so funny. It's my husband actually who challenged me. I was going into a circus touring life, and he said, you need to stay connected with your people, your community, your craft, as I was the only puppeteer in that show. So it was like, okay. So he just challenged me. Let's connect with a puppeteer once a week. So we were starting it was 2019, right before the pandemic. And I was doing once a week, and we were in different city, and just, okay, putting in my hotel room, interviewing, calling people, finding puppeteers on the road. And it was really a puppet podcast on the road. And at some point, the pandemic hit. So we have done puppet podcasts at home. So at home, we were interviewing, like we have been going international, because we were wanting, everyone was in front of their screen. So we just, okay, let's do 3 a week. So three interview a week. So we were connecting with many people, and referral to referral, we find people from the Jim Henson Company, some people working in Europe, like in big show that I admire all around, French, English, Spanish, like the Brazilian Helmo. Everyone was like just part of that, and we were inspiring other community. Even the Brazilian puppetry community start their own podcast, copying on us. But it was kind of, we were in team, like helping them. Okay, do this like this. Okay, let's give you credit, and helping each other. So it was really, I could say, kind of one side of my art is really philanthropic. I like to help others. I like to just like give them positivity. It's something that I can generate and create. I don't have like a tank, and it will be empty. I can just create some from scratch. So that was it. And when the pandemic, we also got a grant from the Canada government to keep going and put some like business aspect on this podcast. So we have done like some workshop online to help puppeteers to stay creative with the pandemic, to promote, to transition, even to do online puppetry, or like find creativity in this situation, because that was a challenge for the world. So now I would love to do more, to go back to that. I had a baby, so this project was kind of a bit aside, but still keep breathing, because it's social media, and it's still, you just put a little bit of something, and it keep generating some contact, some motion. So I really look forward to go back into, as I get some stability on a resident show here in Orlando. So maybe you will see some other episode, and maybe a new trend of puppet podcast coming in few months. Let's see.
Oh, I hope so. I'm looking forward to it. And I'm excited too for listeners of the Circuspreneur podcast to listen to your podcast. And, you'll find a whole new audience. Those, please tune into the Puppet podcast when it comes back. We know that you are busy being a new mommy. And to close out the podcast, Caroline, I would love you to, give a little bit of maybe advice or feedback to new circus moms or new performing artist moms of, how they can kind of balance or not balance the challenges and the wonderful, joyful times of being a new mom and having a new schedule. If you could share a little bit about that to close out the Circuspreneur podcast.
Yeah, this could seem a bit strange, but I would love to talk about like the necessity. I don't know if you know this concept, but for me, like at some point you have the necessity to do things, to produce show, and for sure to be a mother, it's lovely. It's so much like your soul is dragged to that, so you could like live the business away and just be into your child love. But for me, I was like, okay, no, let's bring this, like I need to keep expanding my life, me as an artist, and this will help me. I don't take that as like, oh, I have my baby, like it's not something that I carry with me. It's with me. It is like she's part of my team, so she go with me and my husband. We just like, okay, what's the next challenge? And yeah, so I think that's my advice. Just keep connected with your inner soul and what's burning in you, and just like keep expanding.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Thank you so much for leaving new mommies or current mommies or long-term mommies that are in the circus, that are artists, that are working, that, this is, again, a topic that sometimes we don't hear enough about. And I think maybe we don't speak enough about also too in our industry. So it's so wonderful. That was such a wonderful response and like, overall feedback of what it's like through your own unique perspective, because everyone has their own unique perspectives. But I think it's so helpful to share and to get, to understand what is behind each person's experiences becoming a mom and doing this art, because we do have families in the arts, and it is a normal thing that happens, but it's definitely a unique experience, I think, from the way that our industry like moves and shakes. So thank you so much, Caroline, for taking the time out of your very busy schedule to be on the Circuspreneur podcast. I so appreciate you.
Thank you very much. Yes, keep going. You are amazing.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And I'll leave listeners with the Circuspreneur podcast is also available on stagelink.com, stagelync.com, the groundbreaking new platform for live performing arts that provides unmatched access and connection to this vibrant world of shows and entertainment. If you're a professional in the performing arts, visit stagelink.com/pro, stagelync.pro. StageLink Pro offers industry professionals higher visibility, networking opportunities, and tools to support and enhance their careers. Until next time, everyone, I'm your host, Stiletto. Please stay tuned for the next episode of the Circuspreneur podcast, and thank you so much for tuning in.